Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Aries August 2025 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, Clairvoyant. Well, this month we have a great deck for you. It's called the Tarot Apocalypsis. Now, this is very kindly given to me by one of my clients, and I have to say it's full of mythical imagery, which I sadly don't think we're going to have time to cover, so I'm going to just let the messages bubble up from it, but I might point out the odd thing here and there. Now, you know that if you're interested in a clairvoyant reading, which are charged for, the details are in the description. I also provide the spiritual gift of healing, which is for free. No catch. You won't be talked into anything, and don't be shy. Have a look at that in the description as well. Now, there are no video advertisements in this, so you'll get to enjoy the content without any interruptions. Let's see what there is, shall we? And there is Judgment here, and that's a brand card. It goes to show how new this is. This is the Six of Cups. I suspect you're going to be enjoying that. We shall see in just a moment. It's got a very, very healthy vibe coming up off it. There's the Eight of Pentacles. What else is there here? For you, the highly talented and attractive Aries, there's Justice. Justice and Judgment. Two J's. And finally, there is this, which is the Chariot. Right, well, why don't you come around here and sit down next to me? I'll also bring the camera around so that everybody else can see the cards, and we'll see what is reflected by them of the cosmic energy swirling around you now, and let's get right into the reading. Now, I know I just said that we wouldn't spend a lot of time on the art. We won't, but we've got to spend some time on it, I think, because it's so inspirational. Here we have what looks like a flood coming through. Now, of course, in sacred traditions, particularly if you look at chapter 1 of Genesis, the Spirit of God hovers over the waters of the deep. That comes also from the Babylonian Sumerian creation myth of Numerology, where a serpent pulled apart the waters. This is speaking of things being washed away, like Noah's flood, also in that book of Genesis. Things being washed away, those things that are no longer serving you, also new things coming about. So there is completion here for you, almost a cosmic union, liberation from bondage, liberation from those things holding you back, also something of a burning off of karma. This is the last card of the zodiac, of the major arcana, and it closes the circle which began with the Fool. It's as if there is a great task which is being brought to completion. The drop disappears into the ocean, and the ocean pours into the drop. And this completion is, I think, at the same time for you, a new beginning on a higher level of being. The final goal is reached, and you now see yourself and the world as it really is. It's as if all clothes and masks have become unimportant to you because you are becoming one with your original nature. So there's the completion of a project. Your efforts are finally paying off. I think it has been something of a long, hard haul, but you're about to get there. And this is a reminder for you to finish what you have started. I think you're learning to take control of your own destiny now, and you'll be using the power of your will to get results. Now, interestingly, you will be someone, I think, who is very gifted in, at the same time, finishing off the old and starting the new. And you might be bringing change into strongly structured environments, I think. There's a thought here that you could be quite ecologically minded, I feel. And you'll have a desire to experience the world and all it has to offer to you. I think it's now possible for you to see things as they really are, because the stage is set for a new beginning and also for a favourable completion, and the events in your life are going to be in harmony with the universe. Now ask yourself this question. From what aspects of your life is it time to free yourself? Is there a journey or some enterprise waiting for you to set it in motion? Trust your perceptions now. And you might also consider making a list of all unfinished situations whose tying off will give you a sense of relief. And say this to yourself: I love to travel. I love to explore. I am excited about bringing ideas and creative projects into form. I deeply value making a contribution that makes the environment and people around me better. I am at one with the universe. Really fascinating time for you, and so many good things going on. Movement, journeys, listening to yourself. What's this got to say? Well, here's another one, you see, which is quite inspirational itself. Now, I'm looking at the colour of the skin on this woman and also the scales that are there. So there's a strong Libra influence to this, which is about balance and harmony and sorting out things, just as this was talking about before. Now, I'm assuming this is ancient Egyptian mythology and that this is the goddess Ma'at. And Ma'at would, when a person died in ancient Egypt, you see, their heart, which was considered to be the person, was weighed against a feather that came from Ma'at. And if the person's heart was weighed more than this feather, then the heart, the person, was consumed by the god Amit. You see this crocodile head here? It would just eat the heart. Now, Amit was a combination of the three most dangerous animals along the Nile River, which is important to the Egyptians, as you would know: the crocodile, the lion, and the hippopotamus. And when Amit ate the heart, the person just went out of existence. No hell, nothing else, just extinguished forever. But if they stayed in balance, or if the feather became lower down than the heart, then what happened was that the person went on in the afterlife with Osiris and lived with the gods. This is a time also of you, I think you'll be balancing, centering, balancing opposites, which comes from that sense of Libra here. This picture here, quite fascinating, I think. This is a picture of balance, because the goddess here is, well, she's just standing on a ray of light, and only absolute concentration and stillness for her, and also for you. Concentration and stillness will come from finding your inner center, and this will allow balance to take place. And for her, the slightest distracting thought will cause her to waver and destroy the balance that she has found. Now, this balance, this is the nature of the universe that you are now thinking to be one with. And again, one cannot help but take inspiration from the paintings here. I'm looking at this heart. Look, here is the secret, the very simple secret. It is only with the heart that you can see rightly. What is invisible to the eye can be seen by the heart. This is also saying to you at the moment to not be pushed around by the fears in your mind, but be led by the dreams in your heart. Instead of worrying about what you cannot control, shift your energy to what you can create. And in the process of creation, there are things that we have setbacks, things move forward. That's the normal thing in life. But remember this, we delight in the beauty of the butterfly, don't we? But we rarely admit the changes it has gone through in order to achieve that beauty. In fact, the flower that blooms in adversity is the rarest and most beautiful of all. This is bringing you courage. Courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. And this is saying also, because I'm looking at these wings here, accept yourself, love yourself, and keep moving forward. Looking at these wings, if you want to fly, you have to give up what weighs you down. And this was referred to here. So pay attention to those situations in your daily life that tend to throw you off balance, and discover the conditions under which you find harmony again, and carry this quality of harmony with you more and more as you move through your daily activities. Say this to yourself: I am balanced and centered. You really do now get a clear vision of the possibilities and choices ahead of you, and you'll apply the insights that you've gained so far to help you move forward in these things. The other thing is this, is that you will now be discovering and following your true path and what gives your life the most meaning, because you'll be taking stock of your life to see what is useful and what should be let go. Well, that's unsurprising that this energy should be saying that based on this here. So think clearly about what lies ahead and what actions will be necessary to take and what the particular consequences they are. And always have a plan B, but say this to yourself: the abundance and the beauty of nature is a reflection of my own nature, and I am at rest in my own center. Yeah, just have this real sense of you moving forward here. But, here we go. Well, there's a lot I could say about this, but let's just release it to this, that this is a young child who's receiving, well, rather going through a rite of passage, one of the rites of passage that we all go through at different times in our life. Here we have the sun in Virgo in its first decade. Now, Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, and Mercury is also exalted in Virgo. Mercury, the planet of the mind, of communication, of diplomacy and sorting things out. I also have a mystical association with the planet of Mercury in number 8 here as well. So it's a tremendous time for you. But this is saying to you that, interestingly, there's going to be a flowering of your internal and external richness. There's a wisdom with you now, perhaps also a carefulness and a prudence. You see, the wealth that comes from wisdom, it unfolds over time. And this is a time of flowering that relates to internal and external richness for you, on all the 4 levels of being. Long hidden abilities and possibilities are becoming visible for you. Now, this number 8 also stands for harmony, adjustment, balance, and decision. Now, you might think this is interesting or unusual, but this is saying that, sometimes there is a strength in doing nothing at all. Just sow the seeds and sit back, fertilize them, water them, and wait for them to come into the time ready for harvest. So you might be being somewhat cautious, taking calculated risks. I think you'd be quite careful with money. Learning, education, developing more skills. This is definitely around for you now. And I think you'll have a great attention to structure and detail, which can also include a great interest in and a great ability to do wonderful things in relation to hair, makeup, fashion, as well as constructing things or beautifying the house around you. This is, in a sense, an energy that says you won't be overextending yourself or underextending yourself. Rather, being in the sweet spot when you plant the seeds and know that there is forward motion that's going to bring you abundance and success. The energy coming up here definitely is saying that you need time and patience to develop something. Don't rush it, as I think that this is a long-term thing. And be prepared to just bide your time and allow these things to come into fruition. But this is definitely encouraging you to keep doing what you are doing, as it will eventually lead to success. Now, success requires a lot of dedication, focus, and patience, as you well know. But as time passes, you are getting closer to your goal. I will say this, it may not be apparent to you now, but events are unfolding around you that are going to lead you to your destination. And that which is coming into flower within you, it is of exquisite beauty and delicacy. So provide for it the protection and the nourishment it needs. You don't have to force anything at the moment, because everything is going to unfold for you at its proper time. Now, are you giving yourself the protection and nourishment that you need now for your development? But just say this, because it's definitely true. I relax and trust life. And as if to really ram home that point, here is this energy here, which is, you'd be familiar with the chariot here. I'm not going to go into the mythology of it, but it's quite straightforward here. Body, spirit, really, they're the main components of it. This is talking to you of new beginnings, and it's a change coming into your life, which is for the good. It's also speaking of victory and triumph in the face of adversity. You'll be overcoming problems, and your success, I think, is going to come about without really much support from anybody else. This is really something which is coming from yourself. Victory over adversity. Look, I think you have come through something of a difficult period, or something has arisen, but now you're going to overcome it, and you're going to have the courage to act. Certainly, there will be success over previous negative patterns, possibly, I think, a focus on self-discipline here, but moving forward towards higher goals. Now, this is ruled by Cancer, and Cancer has that crab with the shell over the top of it for protection. So I think as you do move forward, you are going to be centered, and you'll be making sure that you are protected, that you're not leaving anything open to you. This driver of the Chariot here is examining all the possible consequences before daring to set the Chariot in motion on a new beginning. Because once this driver has chosen to start, there won't be any turning back. Nothing's going to be able to stop the journey. There's a new beginning. This could also point to a journey here, or the start of some new phase in a relationship or a living situation or a job. Don't act impetuously now. Just act having examined the consequences of actions. Because everything that you do now, which is going to bring about your success and abundance, will require exact examination and preparation. But this is saying that once all of that groundwork has been done, do not put off unnecessarily that start, because everything is pointing here to favorable developments. Now, this can sometimes, it may not apply to you, but it does for somebody here. It can sometimes mean change in personal relationships. And I think what this is saying is that all discarded lovers should be given a second chance. But that second chance should be with somebody else. Remember also that today you are not the person that you were yesterday. Last year's words belong to last year's language, and next year's words await another voice. And to make an end is to make a beginning. I really have the sense here for you now that this isn't just the beginning of a new chapter in your life. It's the beginning of a new book. That first book is already closed, ended, and tossed into the seas. And this new book is newly open, and it has just begun. Look, it is the first page, and it's a beautiful page. I really think that this is, in a sense, also saying this, that, look, maybe you may dream about escaping your ordinary life, but your life has never been ordinary. You've simply failed to notice how extraordinary it is. Likewise, you never imagined that home could be something that you miss. And if you have been having some troubling times, so I think something there was talked about as well. Look at these silver wings here. Understand now that a bridge of silver wings stretches from the dead ashes of an unforgiving nightmare to this jeweled vision of a life started anew. And then finally, we have this family scene looking like ancient Romans. Look, I do know because I had 8 years of Latin at school, and I do know that in ancient Rome it was common for the members of the household to burn incense and make offerings to the goddess Concordia, who would bring about peace, harmony, stability, and abundance and success. And I think that's what these people are doing here. This, however, is also talking about the sun being in the second decan of Scorpio, is what I think. And Scorpio rules the house which is to do with change and transformation, and also with great physical expression, if you understand what I mean. So I see here great pleasure, indulgence, physical pleasure, excitement, possibly communication with ancestors, but also family support here. There is a physical pleasure here, but this pleasure is one which is completely harmonized, I think. There's that image of Concordia. Now, the zodiac sign that I see here governing the energy is that of Scorpio, and we're talking about physical pleasure. Well, physical pleasure is grounded in its most fertile soil in Scorpio, isn't it? This is a very fertile energy, really fertile. So there's lust, enjoyment, pleasure in physical relationships. And look, if you're not with someone, you always enjoy that yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a rich exchange of sexual and heart energy and emotional renewal, which is coming here. This is really an invitation to you to give yourself up to the richness of your own emotionality. It's almost like you experience it like a dive into water, as the tingling anticipation of diving deeply, of disappearing, of letting go, and then rising to the surface. You are, in terms of Scorpio, not only refreshed, but transformed. This is that process of death and rebirth that the Scorpio archetype does speak to. The result of you taking risks here, ask the person. Listen, no one ever brings anything to you. No one ever gives you anything. You understand that. You've got to take it. Take the risk. Because when you do, there'll be deep emotional purification and renewal. I also get that you could be getting into this state of mind and this emotionality after what has been something of a hardship. I'm getting the sea in the background again. But you're now undergoing a period of healing as well here, and transformation. And the emphasis here is on a relationship, or the desire to have a relationship, and one that will improve both the individuals. Look, in your relationship, you want a relationship that is deep, don't you? Deep. And if you're not getting what you want, then maybe it is the time to move on, as I say, and look, there's nothing wrong with that, because it is just the case that some people are meant to be part of our history and not part of our destiny. But enjoy now all that life gives you. This is the best way to express your gratitude. Now ask yourself this question. Are you holding on to old beliefs which prevent your enjoyment of pleasure? Enjoy your own emotional wealth and share it with someone. And I'm open now, say, to people with whom I can share the joys of love on all levels. What a fantastic spread of cards for you. Made so much better for you being here.
Well, I so enjoyed your company during that reading. And unless I see you in the meantime, either for a clairvoyant reading or for a healing, then I'll see you here again next month. And until then, remember one thing though, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.